One of my clients asked me the other day, how do I give of myself when I don't trust the people I work with? Now that's a juicy question, isn't it? Because of course this is somebody who has so much to contribute, so much to share, and she was holding back a piece of herself because she was worried the risk was too high. If she gave too much of herself, then maybe people would take advantage of that. They would turn it around. They would be critical of her. But here's the opportunity. When we share a piece of ourselves, we are able to contribute who we are when we're at our best. Let me take a step back. An important statistic, 100% of employees in the workplace are human. So if we agreed with that fact, let me just see and calculate. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's a fact. If we actually subscribe to that, wouldn't you maybe be able to look at it a little differently? Wouldn't you be able to say that we all have an important story to share? And maybe I'm just the one who gets to go first. So, and I've got a podcast for you that I'd love to offer you. Feel free to click here, and I'm going to send it to you because it may give you a little bit more perspective and depth on this. But in the meantime, I want to share with you 3 ways and strategies that if you want to have real conversations that matter in the workplace and dip your toe into the water of building trust, here's how you can do it. The first one is share an important story that reflects exactly who you are. I'll give you an example. One of the things that was added to my portfolio in my last job was public relations. And I started writing articles for the local newspaper. And because I worked in healthcare, I thought, I better share some healthcare stories. And I shared a story about my grandmother and her stroke. I shared some good patient stories, some not so great patient stories. And then I decided I'd been playing too small, playing it safe. And so I decided I was going to share the story of my postpartum depression. It was not easy. None of my colleagues knew that I had ever had depression, and I didn't really have the kind of personality that somehow people would think maybe she is depressed, but I was still on antidepressants at that time. But I decided I was going to do it, and not just share with my colleagues, but share with the entire community. Anyone who wanted to read it could read about my experience with postpartum depression. And you know what happened? People came to me, people that I hadn't really had much of a relationship with, sometimes with tears in their eyes, saying, "It's like you were describing my wife's story," or "It's like you were describing me." Or for some people, "Could my granddaughter talk to you? Because I think she's going through the same thing. My daughter-in-law, I'm really worried about her. Do you have any ideas, any resources, any suggestions? What help did you get?" People related to me on a totally different level, and I didn't experience any backlash. And I didn't always have the closest relationships with everybody on my team, but it built me some cred because I was willing to get real with them. So here's the other suggestion. Share your strengths. My strength is I'm a connector, I'm a giver, I'm generous. I'm doing these blog posts for you, and I hope you'll tell me if there's some additional topics that I can cover that will be of service to you. That's just who I am. So by me sharing who I am with my folks, then I can ask them, "So what about you?" And then they're more likely to share. And I learned all kinds of things in that period of time when I decided to get really brave and start sharing and having conversations that mattered. I learned all kinds of levels of depth about my colleagues that I had no idea. And here's the last thing. Share when you're experiencing a difficult moment, even if it's just situational. If you're having a rough day, today's been pretty stressful. Open up to folks. You have no idea if they're having a bad day too. You may be able to support each other, and you know that they've had a bad day in the past, even if it's not that day. By being a bit vulnerable, people can help you. Sometimes we're afraid to ask for help because it makes us look vulnerable. But how are you ever supposed to have a conversation that matters and have a deeper relationship with your colleagues if you don't ever ask for help or share some vulnerability? So there's always a balance. You're not going to bare your whole soul right away. You're not going to have too much information conversations. But I encourage you to consider, are you going deep enough in those relationships? That is what I share with my client. And when she got into action, it's incredible the trust and relationship depth that she got into. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I've got lots more for you. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, we'll make sure that you get one every single week. My name's Sarah McDaniel. Be well and be great.